What is friction? Friction is the force which resists the motion of a body while moving on a surface. Causes of friction. Friction is caused by the interlocking of irregularities in the surface of two objects which are in contact with each other. To move one object, we have to apply force to overcome the interlocking of the irregularities in their surface. What are two disadvantages and advantages of friction? Friction produces unnecessary heat, leading to the wastage of energy. The force of friction acts in the opposite direction of motion, so the friction slows down the motion of moving objects. Forest fires are caused due to the friction between tree branches. Advantages of friction. Friction is responsible for many types of motion. It helps us walk on the ground. Brakes in car make use of friction to stop the car. Asteroids are burnt in the atmosphere before reaching the earth due to friction. It helps in generation of heat when we rub our hands. Spring balance. A spring balance measures the weight of an object by opposing the force of gravity acting with force of extending spring. May be used to determine mass as well as weight by recalibrating the scale. Increasing and decreasing friction. To reduce friction, we can make the surfaces in contact smooth. Also, adding lubricant to two surfaces in contact reduces friction between them. Grease is added between the moving parts in a machine to reduce friction. Another method of reducing friction is by using bearings. When ball bearings are introduced between two surfaces, friction is reduced because of the freely rotating metal balls. To increase friction, the surface in contact have to be made rough. The two surfaces in contact can also pressure harder to increase force between them. Use of adhesive material that stick surfaces also increase friction between them. Do you know why we put powder to a carom board before we play a game? Powder is spread on the carom board as powder reduces friction between the carom board and the striker so that the striker can slide smoothly on the board. What are lubricants? Lubricants are liquids used to or applied to reduce friction. For instance, the oil is used to prevent the interlocking of the door. Do you know the types of frictions? There are many types. Sliding friction, rolling friction, static friction, fluid friction. Rolling friction. Rolling friction is defined as the force of friction acting when a body rolls over other body. Sometimes rolling friction can be a hard concept to understand. Therefore, you can look at different types or examples of rolling friction to help you out. A car will eventually stop if just allowed to roll, as the friction between the road surface and the wheels causes the vehicle to stop. Thicker bike wheels will lessen the potential speed of the bike because there is a greater wheel surface to create friction against the road or the path, which will slow the bike. Heavy duty trucks get greater gas mileage when tread begins to wear on the tires because there is less rolling friction, allowing the truck to move more quickly with less resistance. A skateboard set on a slide decline will eventually stop itself because of the resistance caused by the rolling friction between the wheels and the surfaces. Static friction. Frictional force which balances the applied force when the body is in the state of rest is called static friction. Some real life examples of static friction are paper on a tabletop, a towel hanging on a rack, a bookmark in a book, a car parked on a hill. Sliding friction. The frictional force that opposes the relative motion between the surfaces when one body slides over the other body is called sliding friction. Fluid friction. Fluid friction occurs between the fluid layers that are moving relative to each other. This internal resistance to flow is named viscosity. In everyday terms, the viscosity of a fluid is described as its thickness. Examples of fluid friction. When an aeroplane flies in the air, it faces resistance from air which reduces its speed. The air resistance is frictional force of air or fluid friction. Example 2. When a speedboat moves in a sea, it faces resistance from water in the sea which reduces its speed. This is frictional force of water or fluid friction. The static friction is the strongest of all friction, and the weakest is fluid friction.